Meeting someone new has never been easier in today's world. One reply away from turning a stranger into something more. And sometimes that's all it takes to step into something you don't fully understand. Sitting in that classroom, her thoughts drift toward numbers that don't quite work and the quiet weight they carry, where small expenses begin to feel heavier than they should, and the present moment becomes something she's only half paying attention to, until her name pulls her back, a voice she hasn't heard in a while cutting through it and bringing her attention forward again. An old friend stands there, changed in ways too drastic to ignore, the difference settling in before it's fully processed, details that don't quite fit the version Hinata remembers. It shows in pieces at first, the way she carries herself, the small choices that seem out of place, sitting too easily on someone who never had it before. That's where the questions begin. Each one trying to close the gap between what she's seeing and what she understands, only for the answers to move around them instead, redirected just enough to avoid settling into anything clear. That unfinished feeling doesn't stay unanswered for long, though. It doesn't come from Miki herself. Instead, it finds its way back to Hinata through passing conversations that carry more certainty than they should. The kind of explanation that simplifies everything at once. Sugar dating becomes less of a rumor and more of a conclusion, fitting the clues Miki left behind in their previous conversation. What unsettles her isn't the idea itself. These relationships revolve around money, gifts, and an easier way of living, things already tied to problems she's been dealing with. And the more that connection settles in, the less it feels like something separate from her life, until the line between thought and action starts to blur in a way she doesn't immediately question. When the message arrives, pulling her attention in a way she can't ignore, a mix of hesitation and excitement builds at the same time, with the offer being simple and the reward clear. Money for something as trivial as dinner. The idea carries more weight than the uncertainty around it. The condition she sets comes from that hesitation, keeping it limited to meals and conversation, something she can still frame as harmless, something he agrees to without asking for more. The first meeting unfolds without friction, the setting refined enough to distance the situation from anything questionable, while Takino himself never disrupts that balance. His presence steady, his tone consistent, offering nothing that would require Hinata to reassess her decision. He doesn't guide the conversation toward her, doesn't show interest in anything that would normally define this kind of date, and instead shifts the focus onto himself in a way that feels deliberate. He talks about his family, a wife and a daughter who once defined his life, now reduced to something that exists only in memory. The way he explains it doesn't lean on emotion, doesn't exaggerate, describing the fire that took them with a kind of steadiness that feels almost unchanged by time. Hinata listens, though the longer he speaks, the less it feels like something being shared, and more like something that moves without needing her to be there. His words settling into place with a steadiness that doesn't shift, no matter how she reacts. And that detail follows her through the rest of the evening. Carrying into the moment, he places the money in front of her, the amount larger than expected, enough to make her hesitate before taking it, though his explanation comes without pause, stating simply that he appreciated her listening, not her presence or her time, but that specific act alone. That distinction settles quietly, not strong enough to be questioned, yet not weak enough to disappear. And with the new money slipping into her life, things feel easy to justify. New shoes, small changes that don't seem significant on their own, but the change is sudden enough to notice. When Mickey brings it up, the same curiosity that once lingered between them, except this time Hinata's the one giving nothing away while leaving just enough unsaid. The second date settles into place, almost as a continuation of the same quiet evening they shared before, sitting across from him, letting the arrangement play out with a familiarity that lowers her guard, her focus drifting between the new space and the thought of what she'll walk away with once it's over. The opening of his story arrives moments after that, intact, structured like it hadn't changed since last time she heard it. Same words in the same order, the same pauses holding exactly where they did before. And the more it continues, the clearer it becomes that this isn't something being told again for her. She shifts her attention then, watching for something that might separate this moment from the last, anything that would explain the reasoning behind it. But the absence of acknowledgement becomes more noticeable than the repetition itself. Whatever this is, it isn't happening with her. It's happening in front of her. By the time his voice trails off, the silence that follows doesn't carry the same weight as before. It lingers differently, leaving her with something she hasn't decided what to do with yet. The money is placed in front of her again, and for now, that's enough to keep her from asking the question that's already formed. The messages continue to arrive with the same tone as before, carrying the same expectation without ever pressing for it. Each date leads back to the same setting, the same conversation waiting to unfold, patterns without deviation, again and again, untouched by time or context. The absence of variation, yet nothing crosses into something she can clearly reject. And yet the more it repeats, the more it becomes impossible to treat it like something normal. Time passes inside that pattern without marking itself clearly, each meeting folding into the next through what stays the same rather than what changes. The same story returning over and over again. A wife, a daughter, a fire that took them both, described with the same exact words, the same sequence that never shifts no matter how often it's told. What does move is everything around it. The money accumulates quietly at first, stacking into something that no longer feels incidental, present enough to sit in front of her, demanding to be acknowledged. Even when she tries to put it into words, speaking about it with Mickey in a way that keeps it light enough to avoid sounding unreasonable, the explanation never lands the way it should, reduced to something vague, something that sounds smaller when spoken out loud than it feels when left unexamined. The money remains easy to point to, enough to justify why she hasn't walked away yet, but no longer enough to outweigh the feeling that something about this whole ordeal is plain weird. The decision to end it comes in the form of a text, something that closes the interaction, blaming it on circumstances beyond her schedule tightening, university taking priority, an explanation polite enough to be accepted without resistance. For a brief moment, that appeared to be that, until it didn't. His presence appears in a way that allows it to be dismissed at first, close enough to be a coincidence. The request comes immediately, unchanged in both wording and intent, as though the answer had never been given, and for a moment she responds the way she planned to, keeping her tone polite, her refusal intact, placing the distance back where it should be. But the interaction doesn't close there. Instead, the money appears, offered with the same certainty as before, placed into her hands as if the exchange had already taken place, as if her refusal had no bearing. She tries to give it back, pointing out the obvious, that she hasn't done anything to warrant it, that there's nothing for him to pay her for this time. But the explanation doesn't land. His response settling into place with that same steady tone. Speaking with him, even briefly, was already enough. And in that moment, it becomes clear that stepping away hasn't created the separation she thought it would. As she tries to move on, settling back into a familiar routine, that assumption holds just long enough to settle and eases her mind until it shifts without warning, bringing him back into it before she has time to adjust, which is the reason it catches her off guard. The space giving way without warning, his presence forcing itself back into it before she has time to adjust. The money appears first, as if she had no say in it. By the time she reacts, the question is already there, unchanged, asking her to listen again, carrying on as though her answer had never mattered in the first place. Her refusal failing to register in any way that changes what he does next. And this time, the response doesn't stay controlled. It breaks through it, her voice rising before she can contain it. What follows doesn't leave much room for hesitation. Miki doesn't need to understand the full context to recognize that something has gone too far. The decision forming quickly from what she can see, turning the encounter into something that has to be addressed rather than discussed. By the time they reach the station, the details don't carry the same weight when spoken out loud, flattened into something procedural. The money taken from her, something held on to temporarily. Removing it from her hands might remove part of the problem. The instructions that follow are just as simple. Avoid being alone. Stay aware. Keep distance. The usual advice these types of situations demand. And for a moment, that version of it feels easier to accept. Leaving the station with Miki, the tension doesn't disappear, but it settles into something quieter. The decision to take a cab comes naturally after that, a way to put distance between where he was last seen, contained, and removed from whatever just happened. Miki filling the silence the only way she can, cheering and keeping things moving. Even the gesture that follows carries that same intention, pulling out the fare without thinking twice, something meant to help. Yet the moment Hinata sees it, the shape of it changes immediately. The paper in Miki's hand no longer just money, pulling everything back with it all at once. The same presence, the same weight, collapsing the distance she had just tried to create. Breaking through the effort she's been holding on to, the tension folds in on itself just enough to pass, and by the time she's inside the taxi, that version of it holds, replaced by the rhythm of movement, putting space between her and everything that came before. And for a moment, as her nerves start to calm down, until he speaks. Something the driver mentions as part of the ride rather than anything else, the fare already taken care of, settled before she had even stepped inside. The explanation holds the same no matter how it's approached. Someone had already paid, a man, more than enough to cover the ride without asking for the change. The movement of the car continues, carrying them forward while Hinata's attention circles back to it, already fearing the worst, until something interrupts that rhythm. Impact. The world outside collapsing into movement and sound before it can settle into anything clear. And when it does, it's ahead of it, the shape of something lying where nothing should be, drawing everything toward it, the aftermath forming around it as the meaning begins to follow. The money scattered across the road, falling where it shouldn't. And at the center of it, what remains of him. Not entirely gone, not yet. His voice doesn't rise from the scene, it reaches her, asking the same thing, if she heard him. The explanations arrive quickly enough, reducing it to something that can be understood. The accident becomes just that, an accident, the details arranged in a way that carries none of what she experienced. The confirmation that he's gone, that what happened was intentional, something decided before it unfolded. The words settle in quietly, yet not fully accepted either. When she speaks about it afterward, relief finds its way into it despite everything. She repeats it back when Mickey asks, the words coming out more easily this time, putting this nightmare to rest and ending this whole ordeal without ever needing to go back over it. The shift comes from something small, the sound of her mailbox breaking that quiet just enough to pull her attention toward it. Not because it's unusual, but because it happens at the wrong time, when there's nothing left that should still be reaching her. Stacked bills packed tightly enough to leave no room for anything else, carrying the same weight they always have, the same presence that doesn't belong to anything normal anymore. It doesn't need explanation, doesn't need to be connected back to him, because it already is. The distance doesn't hold, not here, not after this. She doesn't need to turn around to feel it, the shift behind her settling into the space before she can react to it. Something entering without needing to be seen, something that doesn't follow the rules that should have ended it. The moment holds just long enough for it to reach her again, the same way it always has, unchanged, asking the same thing, if she listened.